guys, and welcome once again to our show, Caribbean Talk. To all of you who are tuning in again, thank you for spending your evening with us. And to those who are now joining us, welcome to our community. This 10-part online show encourages dialogue and highlights many issues that are of great importance to us here in the Caribbean. In the past, we covered topics such as climate change, music, lifestyle, health, and other conversations that share in the uniqueness and the interest of what it means to live and be in the Caribbean. I am your host once again, Avner Romeo Williams, and today we will be talking about why should we go digital. We have a great lineup for you this evening. Karel Mc Intosh, founder, Livewired Group, which specializes, among other things, in digital marketing. Our mission here at Caribbean Talk is to highlight the interests of the Caribbean people and connect to the diaspora and the world through conversation. At this point in time, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors of Caribbean Insight, an online platform that focuses on Caribbean lifestyle by providing information on current affairs, lifestyle, and political developments across the region. You can visit their website at www.mycaribbeaninsights.com. LRT, Media and Business Solutions, empowering businesses and improving people's lives by providing transformative services to clients, primarily in the global south. And also AD Romeo and Associates Consultancy, fostering sustainable development through innovative services worldwide. So I'm inviting you to join the live stream. Share it with your friends and networks all over the Caribbean region. Follow us on the Caribbean Insights Facebook page. Like, share, comment, and get involved. Viewers, you are encouraged to put your questions and comments in the live, and we will try to address them throughout the show. Now, let us introduce our first speaker. Karel Mc Intosh, also known to her clients as the Communication Sensei, is a certified executive coach and trainer. As the Director of Training at Livewired Group, a Trinidad-based communication training firm, she translates her 20 years of marketing and communication expertise into practical techniques, teaching high performers how to communicate strategically to optimize their influence and results. Her specialties include public speaking, emotional intelligence, business writing, social media, and leadership pressure. Karel, welcome to the show this evening.
Thank you so much for having me, Avanel.
So let's start easy. Tell me about yourself.
Well, 20 years of experience in communication. I started out in public relations and got into marketing and digital media. I actually got into digital media back in 2005 when I was studying abroad and I was trying to find information about Caribbean marketing and public relations, and I could not find anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
why? So our topic tonight is why should we go digital? In your opinion, why should everyone, small businesses, persons, anyone trying to promote a brand or a product, go digital? Why is that so important?
It's important because it's accessible. It's
Mm-hmm.
accessible, one, and secondly, it's affordable. I mean, when you compare setting up doing traditional marketing, if it is you wanted to do radio ads or newspaper ads or even go on a public relations store, there are a lot of logistics that go into that. But with social media, it's as easy as creating a page. Of course, the difficult part comes with growing that audience,
Yeah.
reaching the right audience who will deliver the results that you're looking for and that sort of thing. But it's very much a necessity for small businesses because it's accessible.
I really see when you said that it is cheap to go digital when compared to traditional forms of marketing. Because I personally do a little bit, probably not to your level, but I also try, a little bit of digital marketing, and it really is cheap. All it really takes is time and the ability
Yeah.
to software. If you do use software to create the content, whatever medium, it's just the time to learn that medium and support just
Yes.
click away. So it really
Yeah.
is affordable. It's all you need is time.
Yeah.
So how have you been helping small businesses in digital marketing? What is the first thing when a client walks through your door? What is the first thing you tell them that they need to have for the for
The
to for
first thing with Yeah, the
Mhm.
first thing with a client, big or small, is what is your business objective? What is your organization's objective? Because it doesn't matter if I do the best social media post, the most creative, swanky looking post or video, and it's sleek and modern and all the bells and whistles. And then at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, crickets, you don't have any money in your pocket. I believe that when I'm offering a service to someone, that ethically I owe it to you to do the best. I mean, I can't guarantee you, all the success in the world, but I know that I am invested in your success. So we look at things like what is happening, because the beautiful thing with digital marketing is that you can change your course. If you recognize, hey, while the blogs may be saying that the trend is to use videos, but you recognize that your photos actually work a lot better for you, then we work with that. So for me, the first thing I go back to is, what do you want to achieve? If you are trying to achieve $2,000 in sales for the month, or 5,000 or a million, whatever it is, then we work back from that, because the result you want to get from a hard numbers perspective then informs the type of marketing strategy that we implement. Because it makes no sense, because some people say that you can't make sales on social media. It's only for awareness or engagement. And I'm like, well, then what's the whole point? Because social media is not fun and games. It is not fun and games. And it can be extremely overwhelming for the expert as well as for the newbie. So I think the responsibility lies in just, trying to figure it out. And I tell people, reach out. I mean, I went to the grocery last week, and I was chatting with a cashier, and I mentioned to her that I do social media, and she asked me for my information. So I gave her my number, and she WhatsApped me the same evening, because she
Mhm.
said she had a hair business and she wanted some insights. So I gave her some tips. If you're braiding hair, I think she braids hair.
Right.
And she didn't have a lot of stuff on her Instagram. I'm like, so one, that's the problem. You're not posting regularly enough. Secondly, if you know it's Christmas and New Year's and you want to get 10 clients who will pay $400, to braid their hair, then you might put an ad for $10 US and target it to your specific geographical area. So looking at, always go back to what is your business objective and then build it out based on that. Because pretty pictures alone won't help. Creative is very important. Yes, you have to look good. That is part of it. But, you want to achieve something at the end of the day.
Absolutely. So for that client, the hairdresser, how often should she post on her Instagram page? And the medium Instagram, is that the best social media platform for her, in your opinion?
I mean, Instagram works extremely well for the beauty market.
Yeah.
I would not exclude Facebook from it.
Mhm.
What she would have to do is test. So firstly, I would tell her, start off with posting 5 times a week.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're small, you need to gain traction.
Mhm.
When you're big and you dance, you could afford to just drop one post for the week. Universal Serials, they do that ever so often. When you check their page, they are not posting every day, but when they post, that post is, it has virality. Everybody laughs, they share it, it's telling us something. But when you're small, you have to do that extra work in the beginning to build the audience, to even experiment, because some of your posts are not going to work. What you are
Uh-huh.
doing is that you're putting stuff out there to start to figure out what is working for me. Sometimes you discover that the boring stuff is what is working.
Mhm.
So for someone like a hairdresser, so she's braiding,
Right.
She might not she if she doesn't have enough pictures of clients, right? All 5 posts don't need to be of, finished hairstyles. It could be one post could be about maintaining the hair, how
Mm-hmm.
to shampoo the hair. If it is that you want to neaten it up, but you say right now, I don't have money to redo the whole braid style, but I want to redo my hairline.
Uh-huh.
That could be a post. Or
But
even showing someone how to do a braid.
that's an interesting point because she is a hairdresser, so obviously she has to show her work. But then you have
Yeah,
to that you can also post the information that may not be of a particular hairstyle. It could be on hair care. It could be
yeah,
on yeah, maybe style for your particular frame of the face. The different types of hairstyles that suit one style, one texture as opposed to another. So
yeah,
that's an interesting point. And I don't think many people know this, that the post doesn't always have to be exactly, what the business is. It could also, include topical issues around the business. And it gives
yes,
a richer content, a more engaging content, because, someone might come in and may not be interested in your style because they already have the hairdresser that they have been going to since they were 15,
yes.
but they would be interested in, what products are out there, what works as opposed to what doesn't, the different types of hair care techniques, So I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah, or even things like you know, depending on what stage of life you are, what kind of weight of braid to take because your hairline can't take it anymore. I mean, when I was, I look back now and I wish I had that time, but when I was a teenager, when I was in UE, even when I was in my early stages of my career,
Mhm.
sometimes I would just braid my hair for myself.
Um,
And I mean, that would take an entire weekend.
the extensions you mean, or you mean like normal, like flats with the
No, no, no,
extension?
the extensions,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
right. um, and because sometimes you go to different people and they just do it too tightly,
Mhm.
and you get fed up with that sometimes. So after a while, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself. And then I got older, and then a day I just decided to braid my hair, and my scalp wasn't taking it. And I
Mhm.
realized, I don't know if I'm getting old, the scalp getting old, or whatever it is, but you can't take the tightness that you used to take when you were younger. So even for a small business, think about what life stages your customers are at. I mean, she's a braiding person, but if it is that maybe your service is selling plants, people who are moving into apartments, who are renting, they want to make their place feel like home. They want to see some greenery. It gives them something to do. They take pleasure in it. So you look at what is going on with them, and then you develop content around those life stages, because what you really want to do is to ensure that anytime someone thinks about your business segment, that you come to mind. So you don't always have to sell. What you just want people to do is say, hey, what Urban Insight said there was really good. I'm going to follow them. Or even if I don't follow the page, I know that the next time that I'm looking for a certain kind of information, I know where to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest challenge that small, can we say that the biggest challenge that small business face when trying to go digital is time? Can we say that? The time to do the post, the time to create the content, and the time to be consistent, because consistency really matters. It really matters.
Yeah, I think it's not so much the time. I think it's more of the know-how.
Okay, right.
Because at the end of the day, social media, you don't have to know the latest software. You don't have to have the fanciest video, but you do need to understand who you are trying to reach. Who is your
Target
audience?
audience.
Where do
Okay.
they spend their time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where do they spend their time? How do they behave? So, and ignore the trends. Like, please, I always tell people, ignore the trends. You do your own thing and figure out what works for you. No matter who you are, you have to go through that. So, for example, people will tell you that young people are not on Facebook, but I did an entire regional campaign for a university that targeted young people below the ages of 20, and all of the inquiries came in mostly on Facebook as opposed to Instagram. Now, the reason for that may be because of the type of information they have to ask for. It's easier to type on, the longer messages on Facebook, right?
Okay.
So the big challenge is one, zoning in on what is your objective, who is your audience, which channel works best for them, what content would they find valuable, and then even if all you can do is afford to post twice a week, those two posts are customized to your audience and it's interesting for them, and then it makes the time investment easier because then you know what you are going to do.
The fourth challenge is that is this type of medium for the business, to use. How do they differentiate? Because social media is, like, I think every other day it's a new platform. I mean, you may not know of them because it takes a while for them to become popular.
Yeah.
This year there are so many, So how do we know which one works for me? Is it
Ask
trial?
yourself where your audience is. Ask yourself where your audience is. So I tell people you do not need to be on all of the platforms,
Mm-hmm.
right? If all you have the time for is one platform, well, then choose one. I would tell people set up an Instagram and a Facebook. Reserve your name on other social media channels so that no one else can take your brand name and do what they want with it. But set up an Instagram and a Facebook. For the first, few months, ask yourself which one is working better. You can get a sense within 2 months, even, right? An
Wow.
easy way to do that is to set up an ad campaign. We call it growth hacking, right? You set up an ad campaign and you say, okay, I don't have a lot of money because when you start out, you're always there like, oh gosh, I counting my coins. But you can spend about, let's say, a small test. I'm going to say $10 because depending on what your business is, $10 can do a lot for you. And
Mm-hmm.
you decide, here's what I'm going to run a campaign for a month. So we carry it up to $20, right? Which is really, really small, but we're working with the reality of people not having a lot of budget. So we don't want to say $50 and then they don't have that. But you run that campaign, and in Facebook, you can go into Facebook, use the ad manager. If you don't know how to access it from within Facebook with the Meta Suite, just go into Google and type in Facebook Ad Manager and it will take you to the correct link. And you can set up an ad where you test and then you can compare the analytics. And then based on, okay, you know what? I got more traction on Facebook and not Instagram. Then that could help you to decide, here's what, well, then Facebook is the channel I'm going to use because I got most of my audience traction from there. I always tell people the thing with social media and digital marketing is that it is important for businesses, but you're also a human being and you do not want to get burnt out. You want to handle what, we have this saying, you don't get more than you can bear. Don't give yourself more than you can bear. Even if you're just on one channel and you master it and you are getting the results, then you don't need to be on 5 other channels. I mean, right now, I have not posted on my channels for a while. My
Mm-hmm.
business is not suffering because of it, because I've also, I mean, yes, I've been in business for a while, but I'm very purposeful about establishing real life business relationships. So I do a lot of direct communication. So if Facebook was to decide a day, I will just make your page disappear, which they do to people. I have seen it happen. You're not going to be there holding your head and bawling, because that's, in the theoretical terms, we call it pesos, the paid channels, you earned channels, you yeah, you own the channels and that kind of stuff. Always own something for yourself, even if it's a one web page, a landing page. You don't have the money to pay someone to design a website for you as yet, but you can put a holding page. You put a logo, a picture of your product, and somewhere for them to input their email or a contact form for them to contact you. And it's just a way for people to get on to you. The key thing is just to be there. People can find you, people can discover you, they can know what you are about, and then you grow from there, because the more you get customers, then you start to get the money. But just choose one and don't study other people. You have to focus on your business, because a lot of times we get focused on what other people are doing. And while it's important to know what your competition is doing, At the end of the day, your real competition is your own systems and processes and how you market yourself to your audience. So choose
You,
one and ask
you,
yourself, what does my business need?
okay. You just said something important about not having a lot of money and doing it yourself. So can I infer that you don't need to hire a digital marketing professional to assist you with digital marketing? That is not necessary, at least when starting out.
It is always ideal. It is always ideal.
Yeah.
I it is ideal to have someone who knows it to help you,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have to educate yourself a bit because sometimes you pay someone to handle your marketing for you and they are not doing what is needed for the businesses to succeed. They have a pretty pictures, but they're missing like logistical information, or just thinking through, okay, it's 2 days before Christmas Eve, but my client sells loaves of bread, right? But she hasn't gotten any orders, but there are last minute people out there. What is that person thinking of doing to help you, right? So you still need to have some knowledge. The reality as well is that sometimes the person doesn't have the money to afford to hire someone.
Yeah.
And that is, that is why Canva, the design website, is so popular because it just makes design accessible for everyone. Now, of course, if you don't know how to coordinate colors or make things look nice, you'll have a bit of a challenge. Your content is not going to look as sleek and so on as other people's own. But
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
say that if you can afford it, yeah, if you can afford it, definitely get someone, but you interview that person. You ask them hard questions. You ask them, what has, your service done for another client? How has that benefited them? Because whether I have a big client or a small client, I always ask myself, do they have money for advertising? Because I could charge you a pong and a crong, but if you don't have money to pay for ads for reach or awareness or your engagement, I can't set up ads where we can get leads for you, for customers to contact or for people to make bookings or whatever it is. So you have to pepper that, in colloquial terms, pepper that person, ask them hard questions. Because I hate to see when people are starting out that they are being taken advantage of because
Oh,
I do training as well, and I met a lady once who paid $2,500 just for a Facebook cover, right?
wow.
And
That's a lot.
$2,500 can do so. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, and I was like, what? I mean, you know, and she didn't know. She did not know. And so you, even though you're small, even though you may feel as if I don't know anything about social media and you're lost, you don't want anyone to pull wool over your eye. And it's not that there are a bunch of crooks out there, but sometimes some of the people providing services themselves, they are not expert in in doing marketing for business results. And so they will do the pretty post, but you're not getting the results that you need. And
Mm-hmm.
so, even if you have to ask a friend who works in marketing or just someone who's a bit more assertive to sit in with you to interview that person, you make sure that this person knows what they are doing and that they are also invested in seeing you succeed.
Yeah.
Because there are some people who will charge you $5,000 or whatever it is, and they get their money and they just, well, I know I get my money. I don't know what happened to she across there. You don't want that
And I saw that
because being
happen.
an entrepreneur is hard. It is difficult. You were
Yeah.
saying what you were saying?
I'm saying yes, I'm sure that happens a lot because not everyone knows or are aware of, like, if I for me to say like, tips and tricks of digital marketing. You don't know the information.
Yeah,
To find someone who does, you know. If you're intending on hiring someone, then get that person to come in
yeah,
to make sure that they are in line with your wishes and what is it you want to see for your brand, for your product, you know. So I'm sure that happens a lot. But you gave a lot of tips.
yes,
You
yes,
talk about, you must know your target audience. You must be aware of the objectives of your business. You must know the mediums that are more successful through trial and error. And otherwise, don't be afraid to switch things up. as you say, maybe the boring post will be more, will be better for your business. So I want to just speak about last year and the year before the pandemic. And in your experience, how has digital marketing changed, maybe changed for the better, maybe changed for the worse, maybe both? In your opinion, how has digital marketing evolved or devolved with the pandemic?
Well, I think on the business side, it's it offered opportunity
Mhm.
because it created the demand for more digital services.
Yes.
It created the demand for, you know what, I don't want to go into a store. Let me find a business who will deliver it to my house. So it created opportunities for small businesses who still had the resources to be able to deliver services or just even to be in the space of mind to set up, continue doing their social media and so on. On the societal end of things, we saw people get crazy, jump out themselves. A lot of crazy happenings on the world stage as well. But the pandemic really opened up avenues for someone, for example, let's go back to the hairdresser example.
Yes.
If it is that you were not getting a lot of bookings slowed down for a while, you could have easily gone and offered a webinar online. Or you're a makeup artist, you could do makeup classes. So you get other streams of income because now the pandemic has normalized us jumping on Zoom for a workshop. And people enjoy it and you make them. There's a thing where we do sometimes where you offer something for free and then you
Mm-hmm.
hope that people book you afterwards. And sometimes that the people who book, it's a trickle to zero people, right? I would tell people you don't have to charge a lot of money, but charge something because sometimes 100 people will tell you they register for the event. And you will see on Zoom you have 100 registrations, but then on the day, 20 something show up. Right? That's a joke in the event industry because it happens. Right? But if you just charge $50, 100, whatever you want to charge, $500, whatever it is, the pandemic has created that extra stream of income. You're a photographer, you can do a class on how to do shots for social media. So you're
Mm-hmm.
selling doubles, sh- show people how to take pictures of the doubles with their phone. Because I had a friend years ago who said when you take the picture sideways, it looks like you had more fun. And it really does look like you had more fun when you twist the camera. But you could just have a 2 hour webinar just talking to people about photography, how to choose their photos on Canva, how to
So,
make that photo their own.
go ahead.
So the beautiful thing, I mean, I was listening to a podcast from NGC's Vocus Lit Fest yesterday, and the author Desiree Sibaran was saying that COVID it gave it gave us something and it took away in the same hand, right? But what it took away, in terms of the business end, it also created opportunities, and it's really a matter of timing for people's resources. Maybe just go and take a good night's sleep and get up the next day and ask yourself, okay, how can I really optimize digital channels to help my business to grow? What partnerships can I create? What networks can I create? Maybe I can reach out to someone, because the good thing with social media too is that if there's someone you want to talk to, there's no gatekeeper, there's no more calling Mr. Jack and his secretary tells you, I don't know who you are, and you can't get through to talk to Mr. Jack. You can send a DM on Instagram. You could go on LinkedIn, and people reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the pandemic forced, not forced, but it allowed us to change the way we do things. But not only that, it's our audience would actually ask us, are you having a webinar? Do you have an online presence? How can we meet up with not face to face, but like for me personally, it made it like persons like I'm from Tobago, so usually most of the like for school, most people are into that. And if I have to interview something, they will want to set up a coffee and rituals or something. But with the pandemic, people were like, so
Yeah.
no Zoom link combined, so that made it like just perfect for like, people like me. The distance, there was no such thing as distance anymore. It's like, how is the internet speed? Is it better in the morning or the evening? When can we meet up online? The questions,
Yeah,
you know, yes. Um, so I want to talk about digital
it has
marketing.
normalized it. Yeah,
Yes, yes, it has. It has. It definitely has. So I want to talk about, digital marketing trends.
yeah.
These things that people tend to so what's your comment on digital marketing trends? For like like so a service-based business,
I don't
like
believe I don't
as
believe in I don't believe any trends, you know.
the trends.
Yeah, I don't believe any trends because when you watch them, use video. Well, you should be using video. I mean, I just find that it's like duh,
About
but
what's
the
the
other thing to it,
whatever, yeah, yeah, yeah.
or you're losing out with TikTok or whatever. Again, it goes back to always go back to what is my business, who is my audience, and what is working. Because the one person who will often know what is best for your business is you. You only realize that, years after when you've gotten your footing. But you listen to a lot of other people and then you realize, I should have just do what I wanted to do when you start. Because you from experience you recognize now that your gut was guiding you. The thing with the trends is that at the end of the day, some things will work extremely well for a particular brand and it won't work for your brand. It won't suit your brand. So you always have to go back to what suits my brand, what suits my audience, what resources do I have? I mean, it would be lovely to go on TikTok and do a lot of fun stuff and that kind of thing, but do you have the resources? As it is, you are struggling with Facebook and Instagram. Now, if you say, here's what, I want to do TikTok, I recognize that most of my audience is there and I get, exponential growth in terms of reach, well then by all means do it because it makes sense. Only jump on a trend if it makes sense for you. But what you will realize is that you see good marketing, it never goes out of style. I sound like an old person. But good
Absolutely,
marketing doesn't go,
yes. I mean,
it
sometimes
doesn't at the end of the day,
we complicate things so
yeah,
much.
when you yeah, and I mean when you look at the big brands, when you watch at Apple or like the Samsungs, they're not on trends. They're just putting out good marketing. Just good marketing. Whether it is what they also do is when it comes to your social media strategy and your content strategy, you are digging deep into the hearts and minds of your audience. You are asking yourself, for my audience, how do they like to consume the content? Do they prefer video? If you do reels and you realize that your reels have more reach than your photos, well, then you know to ramp up the reels. If you are on Instagram, if or Facebook, if you know that here's what the photos work better, the static images work better, or they like tips, so give them about a 3, 4 carousels, right? They like that. Then you work on that. If you know that the type of business you have, it gives you the opportunity to use some humor or to be just more down to earth, then you know that your audience connects with that. Then it means that I will look forward to having you in my newsfeed because every time you pop up, I am going to smile or I am going to get something that just makes me feel more confident at that point in time. And so you want to dig into just how humans operate, how we tick, because the most serious person also goes in the afternoon and they watch Love and Hip Hop. You know what I mean then? Or they watch comedy shows, or they listen to music, or they like ratchet stuff too. And then in the daytime, then they fancy suit and speaking properly. So, with the trends, go back to, I look at it like this. What works for your business? What makes sense for your business? And what can you handle? Because entrepreneurship in itself feels like a trend because people think it's the popular thing. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and people can guilt you or make you feel as if something is wrong with you that your business is not succeeding. Maybe it's because you're not doing this, that, or the third. But the thing with a business is that you have to, it's like being a parent, right? You have to figure this thing out, how to handle this child. The first child might be different from the second child, that kind of thing. And so, what you really want to do is go back to what your business needs and what you as a human being can handle. Because
Yeah.
digital marketing is heavy, heavy lifting and it can burn you out. And sometimes you're just the kind of person who it takes energy from you to be out there all the time. So I tell people to build your business in a way that suits your lifestyle. Yes, you need to come out of your comfort zone at times, but you also don't want to just do things because other people said you should be doing videos. What if your business could be succeeding without doing videos?
Um,
I had someone tell me during the first day of the pandemic, I didn't see any posting. I say, like, we ain't working, you ain't gonna work. But I was busy and booked out every single week. I just say, I need a little rest. You know what I mean? And the thing is, that feeds into the peer pressure because you feel as if I need to put up something because people will feel I ain't doing anything. No, the people who are paying me know that I am doing work and they are picking up the phone and they are calling or they are emailing because I'm one of those people. I like to compartmentalize work, and and so build a business just for your mental health as well because social media. A lot of people who started out in social media years ago, they kind of fed up now because you have to be plugged in all of the time. Because the
yeah.
thing with social media is when you finally figured out your strategy and you're like, yes, I have this thing down pat. Mark Zuckerberg wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, oh, how can I change everything and make them have to start over from scratch? So
It really is heavy
just
lifting.
just do what you need.
Because I saw on your bio you have other interests apart from social media. Is that one of the reasons why you decided to what's the word the feminist always use? Diversify.
Well, the thing is, I'm one of those people who, you like a lot of different things, multi-skilled. And so social media is something that comes naturally for me. I mean, I do the training. I love training. I love teaching people. I like helping them. Sometimes people call me. Somebody called me the other day. I think she was actually from Tobago. She was looking for a social media person, and she's like, I found Livewired Group. And I told her, I said, well, I'm not really doing that as much anymore. But I asked her some questions. I gave her some tips and I told her what to look for when she's trying to find someone else. And I looked at her page and gave her some tips and so on. But the training, I love the training. I also did a lot of social media and digital marketing training, in Barbados for Massey and that kind of stuff. And because I have corporate clients, a lot of my clients are corporate as well.
Yeah,
And that's something that I love. The social media, it's just, I mean, up to last week, I was in a class with an international class, and some of us have stayed in touch. And somebody was asking for help with her LinkedIn banner, and she's like, "You know anybody else? Like, send it to me." And then I said, "Send me a Canva link," and I just fixed it up. And she was like, "Oh my God, I love it! Tell me what
yeah.
you need." And this is somebody who is in the US, right? And so it's just like a mishmash. I just like anything communication, like
Mhm.
anything communication. I'm blessed in the sense that, I've always loved writing. I used to read a lot when I was younger. I in 2009 I left my job. Before I went off on my own, I worked at the Trinidad and Tobago Mortgage Finance Company and I was the marketing and PR manager there. And then I
Mhm.
decided to leave. And I said, you know what? Let me try to do something that I always wanted to do. We have these things we always dream we could do, and we end up just going through life and we don't ever do them. And I wanted to have a magazine. So I decided to have an online magazine.
Right.
And the
Oh,
name of the
yeah.
magazine was Outlish. Outlish.
Does it still
Outlish. Outlish. Yeah. The site has some cobwebs, so you might go on it and Google might tell you,
I
malware. I
definitely
have to.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. Do you still like do blogging and stuff, write about articles? What are the
No, listen to me. Site has been that site has been, hasn't been updated since when, boy? Like, hmm, probably like 2013 or something like that. But what it was for 3 years, every Monday morning there would be new articles on the site. And let me tell you, 12 o'clock, 12:30 in the night, you are seeing people coming on the site to get their weekly dose. So it got like to about 20,000 readers a month
Okay.
because it was diaspora. Because anybody, once you're a Trinbagonian, you could write for the site, and it could be anything. It could be serious stuff, it could be funny stuff, it could be relationships, stupid
So
talk, whatever it
allow other
is.
people to write for the site. You need to allow
Yeah,
anyone.
so I had people, yeah, somebody working. I had, musicians. This guy Kwame Weeks, he's a comedian, very popular. He used to write for Outlet. He wrote an article about his beard, and when he cut his beard, the difference, the difference in the experience he had. He's like, when he had the long beard, people thought this a call him, if it was something, some cultural something, and it was funny, but it was just about beard. He used to get more respect and thing when he had the beard and what and what and what. And it was really a fun thing because I had entered, Richard Branson had started the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship in Jamaica.
Mhm.
And so that first day I went up, I actually got in it, but I decided not to continue with the program. But Outlish, I mean, I look back now and I'm like, I had to have been possessed by something to be putting out that amount of content, because I used to come up with the ideas. Some of the writers have some ideas, and I would send out my sheet like, look, 50 ideas. These are the due dates. Say what you want. And then I would have workshops for them as well, teaching them how to write and that kind
Sounds
of stuff. I
good.
have
Okay.
a
Now I would
y-
definitely be interested.
yeah, and I have a cousin who she used to write for it, and now she works for Amazon, and
Mhm.
she got a scholarship to do her masters in movie reviewing and that kind of stuff. Kate Young, and because we feel as if we just here in this little microcosm of Trinidad and Tobago, but the thing with online is that you can actually create more contact, and that's the one of the few benefits that we got out of COVID, is that it kind of like flattened networking in the world, because the
Yeah.
same way it's normalized Zoom and these things for us, it did it for other people as well. So now you can easily reach out to someone in the States or join an organization because they have continued the webinar. So it's easier to network globally now as well. And so for whatever business you have, you use those things, because you could do a partnership and have a live with a hairdresser or a musician or whoever it is in another country, and then that creates more interest in that video that you're putting up on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. And I think the key thing really is just to sit down with a piece of pen and paper and just ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? If I want to make $5,000 a month, then how many customers do I need?
Mhm.
If I'm selling hair products, or hop spread, and each hop spread is $10 a bag, and I want to make $5,000, then how many bags of hop spread do I need to sell? If I need to sell that number of bags, then how many people do I need to reach?
Mhm.
Bearing in mind that everyone who sees my content is not going to buy.
Yeah.
So maybe it might trickle down to 30% of the people who actually see your stuff will buy it. 20% might share it. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's why even as a small business, you take your phone and if you have a physical product, you take tons of pictures, because people
Yeah.
want to see, they want to imagine the experience. If you have a little grocery, show us what you have. Tell us how we can use things. I mean, I could be wrong, but I went to a grocery in Trinidad 2 nights ago.
Mhm.
Food Hall, they're in Piaco. I love Food Hall. They're one of the few places where the food is bona fide and it doesn't make me upset, and they're not using old oil. You see pimento, you see fine thyme, you see real seasoning in your food.
All right.
And it was quiet. And and the week before Christmas, you expect a little bit more people.
Yeah.
And what I suspect is it's very spacious. The aisles are large, it's spacious and calming. The shelves are short, and it doesn't feel like overstocked. It's spacious. But I think subconsciously someone might feel that I can't get my full grocery here, when in fact they do have a lot of stuff. So it
Mhm.
might mean putting up a post saying, don't mind that we have the shelves looking neat and small. We have everything you need.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you
yeah,
don't need to see 1,000 piles of toilet paper to feel as if you could buy bales of
yeah.
toilet paper here.
Your comfort is important to us. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's just letting them know we don't look like your stock grocery, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that we do have the stock.
So
Yeah,
someone
because
trolley through all kind of overpacked on the ground, and
y-
yeah, that's good content.
yeah, so we might feel like, nah, there's a kind of express, but it's just that it's spacious and you feel relaxed walking through the aisles. Everything is neatly laid out and it's really, really nice. But the culture, we have this culture of, when I'm making the big grocery, I had to go and see where I quarreling because I can't reach the milk on that top shelf. You know what I mean? And this time, the grocery is built for short people. You know what I mean? They're short
Yeah,
people friendly. So even things
yeah,
like that creates opportunities for content because I can relate to a
yeah.
grocery where I don't have to ask somebody for help.
Yeah, and I remember doing an MBA course, and I remember one of the topics they were saying that your shortcomings or your perceived shortcomings can be used, to build your business, and it could actually
Yes.
separate you from the competition, and that stayed with me,
Yes.
that really, really stayed with me. But I feel like nowadays when we are creating content or we're posting with a company, that our personal profiles and our personal interests mix with whatever it is that we are
Yeah.
advertising or we are trying. Why is that so? Why it is that if I'm advertising natural hair care. If I have natural hair, if I show them, I tell them that I use it every day, 5 times a week, that it helps with the sales of the product. People will be able to connect in that on a level that like encourages them to buy, like you become unforgettable.
Yeah.
Why? Why can't I
Well, I
be,
think one, it's
you know?
well, you don't even have to show yourself, eh? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, who is Carol's daughter? Carol's daughter is not on Instagram every day saying, look at my hair. You know what I mean? It comes back down to how do you want to run your business? If you're
Mm-hmm.
someone who does not like being in the spotlight, then you can still show the benefits of the product. You know what I mean? You can still create other forms of content that creates the same results. When it comes to being online and for the people who it works for, it may be something about their personality because there are some people, they are very, very sour and they come on and say, hello, we have this product, use it, look my hair, it will look nice. And you're like, scroll, we don't want to look at that. But the other thing too, it also goes into how frequently that person posts. Are we getting fed up of listening? Is the person too extra? Because you also have to know your audience too, right? Because sometimes we assume that everyone wants the hyper kind of personality, and sometimes no, you need to mix it up, be a little calm and that kind of thing. So there are two schools of thought. One is that people care about the person behind the business, and to a degree that is true. But there are also businesses where it is not built on the personality; it is built on the brand. And so
Mm-hmm.
you also have to ask yourself, from the long term perspective, do I want to always have to be on social media every week to make a buck? Or let's pretend I get ill for 2 months. If people don't see me, does that mean my income is going to just come to a trickle or a standstill? Or do I want people to know the brand? And so they will be like, I need that brand. I need to get D'Italia Wajid, or I need to get Ramco Gas, or I need to get Kiss Bread, or whatever it is. Because when we buy a Kiss Bread, do we care about who baked the bread? Or we
No,
care about just getting some bread to eat?
taste
I don't
it.
care who make it. You just want to know the bread there, it's fresh. What's the expiry date? Because people are not necessarily loyal to brands.
Mm-hmm.
They are not loyal to brands. They are loyal to their own needs. And as long as your brand can meet their need, you will get their loyalty. But it's not that they're loyal to you, they're loyal to the benefit that they are reaping from your brand. The day that your brand does not deliver, they wash their hands and they move on to the next brand who can do what it is that they need. So I think that's always something to pull back, because there are people who going on social media and doing a video every day that's not a problem for them. But there are some people, it takes a lot out of them. There are also some people who, depending on the industry that they are in, they cannot afford to have a pop down video. They cannot afford to have poor lighting. They cannot afford to not look good. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
depending on who you're servicing, if I'm doing makeup and my clientele, I say, well, you know what? My clientele, I want them to be high profile, or maybe businesses or
Yeah.
tourists or whatever. I have to present myself a certain way. So I can't just come on with my bonnet on my head and say, well, good afternoon, everybody. I come to show all you some tips. It's not.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. It's like, no, 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 no. Do better than that. Um, so there are two sides you could play it from. And you
Mhm.
have to decide from the start, what do I want people to be more invested in? Me, the person, or the brand? And a lot of times too, in business and in marketing the brand, you also have to separate the personal ego from the brand growth and know where the
Right.
lines stop. Because as time goes along, you are eventually going to have to create systems that allow you to live your life. I mean, when I was in the Branson Center for assessment, I remember an older gentleman he was telling us that if you want to start a business, stay in your mother house and don't have any children right now. And I think what he meant simply was, it is going to take so much out of you that it's going to be hard to balance other things. So, if you are someone, you have 3 children and you are starting a business, then you can't be on video every single day, because it's just, once you have young children around you, like, having control over what goes on is a facade, right? So then it means that what you will more focus on is proper lighting of your products, or putting up a picture or directions as to how to get by you. If you have a guest house, people might feel as if, well, you're not in Strawberry, so we're not studying you because maybe you're in Arnesville or Plymouth or wherever. Show them that, hey, some of the popular restaurants that you see, they're actually close to us. It's an 8-minute drive or a 5-minute walk. So you start to because, like, for example, Tobago businesses, people in Trinidad, they went for Burna Boy. They don't know Plymouth. They just know Burna Boy is going to be there. We will crawl through a forest if we need to see him, right? And so it creates an educational opportunity to show them, this is the lay of the land in Tobago. I know all you know is Toby, but there's a whole other side. As small as Tobago is, there a whole bunch of things that you don't know, right? And I saw Tracy Ellis Ross, the actress, post on Instagram yesterday. She's in Jamaica right now. And at the hotel, they're doing dances, but it's, the Pondy River, the Pondy Bank, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, somebody making money off of teaching people how to do Sean Paul
Yeah.
song moves.
Yeah.
And and so you could do those things for your business, whereby you get content based just of how customers use things, or maybe just showcasing the brand, telling them where to get it. Do a video showing them which lane in the grocery, which aisle in the grocery to go to find the product.
Thanks
Because
for
local products, they get chick away in the back on the bottom shelf somewhere, and then you feeling depressed because your product has not
not
been
just
selling. But it's
Mhm.
not because people don't want it, it's because they're not seeing it. So show
present.
them where to find it. Go back
Yeah.
to the who, what, where, why, how.
Yeah.
Who wants my product? Who needs my product? Who can benefit from my product? Why can they benefit? Where can they get it? How can they get it? When can they get it? Those things help you to create content. Because
Absolutely.
you know
Yeah.
what? The same person you hire, they have to go through that now. I mean, depending on who you hire, of course, they have far more expertise. Some of them don't have the expertise. They just know how to create pretty pictures. And that's why I say, and it's not shade or anything, but it's just looking out for the interest of the small business owner who, you know what, I cannot afford to waste $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is the person is charging. And then at the end of the day, I made that sacrifice and I have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because it's small doesn't mean that you cannot be vigilant because it's your money, it's your dollars and cents, and it has to work for you. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
want to end with this quote that you just said, that people are not loyal to brands, they are loyal to their own needs. So as long as your brand
yeah,
meets their needs, and they will stay loyal to you. So thank you so very
yeah.
much, Carol, for joining us tonight. Very interesting talk. Do not be a stranger. I want to hear
I
the
won't.
other projects that you intend to go on to in the future. Right? So thank you so much again. So to end tonight's show,
Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. I would like to again thank our sponsors, Caribbean Insights, for the work that they have been doing to share topical information around the Caribbean. Caribbean Insights focuses on lifestyle, health, culture, sports, food, current affairs, etc. Also, LRT, Media and Business Solutions, for all your media consulting and business support, and AD Romeo and Associates Consultancy, fostering sustainable development through innovative services worldwide. Thank you again, Karel, our speaker, and do join us again next Thursday at 5 for episode 9 on Caribbean Inside Facebook page, where we will be discussing, is it really my body? What are your thoughts on abortion? I am your host, Avner Romeo Williams. Good night and see you next week. Bye.